your 2014 champion, Stephanie Howe.
Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Alex Varner before the 2015 Western States 100. How you doing, Alex?
Good, thanks, Brian. Good to see you.
Last time we were both here in Squaw Valley was the first time I got a good chat with you, and
Yep.
a year later you've had quite the run. Good run here at Western States last year in your first 100-miler, Lake Sonoma. Do you feel a little more confident coming into 100 miles this time?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's still not a distance to be trifled with by any means, but yeah, having raced a couple of more races, you know, over 50 miles or of the 50-mile distance, and kind of learning a little bit more with training and nutrition and fueling. Yeah, I'm you know, a little bit more prepared in kind of what I want to do this year in terms of executing on race day and playing it a little. Last year was hyper conservative.
Yeah.
You know, my main goal was, you know, get to the finish line, don't blow up. And this year, it's now that I kind of know what's coming, I can be a little more aggressive with it.
So how much more aggressive? I mean, like you were back. Do you think you can push the pace up front, or is it?
I don't know that anybody really wants to push the pace. I mean, there's certain people who might, but I think, you know, ideally this year I'd kind of be closer to, if maybe not with, the leaders, kind of depending on how fast they're going and how comfortable I am with it. You know, I'd like to be closer to them where I was last year. Last year I just kind of lost contact on the climb and never saw them again. And, you know, finishing and realizing that third place was 17 minutes in front of me was, holy geez, you know, they're really not that far ahead. I might as well make the effort to try to stay connected and stay in contact with them. And so I'm going to kind of try to play that a little bit more this year.
Yeah. Back in April, you had that win at Sonoma. Obviously, you show you had the fitness to run with all the guys who were up at the front last year, Craw and Swanson and so on.
Yeah.
But then you had a rough go at IAU Trail World Championships. What happened there?
I just wasn't ready for that. I mean, physically I was prepared, and, you know, my fitness was good. But just that type of course, I was just not. There's nothing that I could do to prepare for that sort of thing. You know, where we live, TAM is 2,500 feet, and I think the smallest climb on that course was taller than that. Yeah. And so, you know, try as I might, I wasn't ready for it. Just in the sheer kind of magnitude of the climbs, the length of the descents was really mind-blowing. You know, getting to the second to last and last climbs and having 3 or 4 miles of just basically straight down, that was just completely foreign. And hitting that 35, 40, 45 miles in, I was just in a world of pain. So, you know, it wasn't the greatest race, but Team Silver was pretty sweet. Laney and Alex Nichols really pulled through. They both had fantastic races, and you know, that kind of wipes away any sort of, you know, personal angst I might have about it.
You did step it up. You kind of like almost threw in the towel.
Yeah. I went by you about halfway and was kind of thought, all right, this is kind of a training run now. And then when I realized Tim had dropped and saw Megan at the top of, what was it, like 50K? It was, you know, it was the end of the next climb after I saw. When I saw you to when I saw her, and I was like, okay, well, Tim's out. Like, I'm our third guy now. I gotta run. You know, I can't just kind of lollygag this in. And that definitely lit a fire under me. And seeing you guys along the course, you and her kind of giving updates, and using choice of words, helped a lot.
But in the end, it probably was a good training run. I mean, you're racing individually for that, but you know, like all that long, steep descending and climbing.
Yeah, I think it was great. My legs were shot afterwards, but they recovered pretty quickly. You know, a week later I was running, whereas last year, after my first 50 at Sonoma, you know, I was in pain. I did Boston 9 days later, but like halfway up I locked up. And this year the same thing, like felt strong, you know, 9 days later. So the fitness, and it's just a different kind of fitness, I want to say. Almost I'm used to doing the shorter, faster stuff, and this is kind of much more strength based, and my legs are kind of coming around to that. So it's nice to see kind of the results in not necessarily in the performance, but in the recovery at least.
You're becoming accustomed to that distance.
Yeah, exactly.
I think become accustomed to the distance at 50 miles at the end of a race, you also should feel better at 50 or 60.
Yeah, exactly. I remember last year here, I think my knees started hurting like 35 miles in, just because my IT bands tightened up so much. And you know, they'd never had that kind of descent. I mean, I'd run Sonoma, but Sonoma is just this. There's no, you know, kind of prolonged descents. So hitting that for the first 120 miles of descent was just, oh my goodness, what is going on here? So I think, you know, all of a combination of kind of the different races I've done and the preparation has helped with that.
Nice. it was your first 100 here last year.
Yep.
Is there anything you're going to do different, aside from running a little more aggressively, anything in terms of logistics or fueling or anything like that you're going to do different?
Not as of now. It might change on race day. I think this year I'm considering running with a belt, just to have a little bit more storage space, and it worked a little better carrying a bottle. And not having to hold it in my hand the whole time.
So a belt with a bottle holder.
Yeah, well, no, it's a belt, like a spy belt with just like a handheld
Gel.
bottle that kind of sits.
Gotcha.
I can tuck into it, and then there'll be gels and some picky bars in there, and that'll just free up a little bit of hand motion. And other than that, I think my crew was great last year; they were spot on, and I've got Rochelle's back, but 3 new people this year. So she'll be able to she'll know what's going on, and be able to direct them, which is good. And they're all, great folks and good listeners. And
you're on the pacing team?
Pacing is Tim Tollefson for Forest Hill to the finish, or Forest Hill to Green Gate, and then Jamie Staples is Green Gate to the finish. He's a Mill Valley guy who Vargo was originally planning to do it, but he messed his knee up, unfortunately, and had to bow out.
And no Magda this year.
No Magda this year. I tried to get her not to race, but that was not happening. And I'm pumped to see how she does. That'll be a fun race on the women's side to watch.
Yeah, her, Magda, Michelle, and a whole host of others.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of people gunning for it. It always makes it interesting when it goes that way.
Yeah, and on the women's side, on the men's side, it's very rare that somebody would win in their first 100 miler. But on the women's side, it's kind of getting commonplace at this time.
Exactly. Well, if you play it right, and you can knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And I think the men's, at least as of the last couple big ones, it seems like the men's side experience has played a little bit more of a factor. But I think it's certainly not that Stephanie last year was unprepared. I mean, she's run 50. She's raced well and kind of has a good head on her shoulder, so she knew what was going on and was able to execute.
Nice. Well, thanks, and have a blast out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.